Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
And Laugh Out Loud is a place for you and I, where you can be either an Imperial Stormtrooper or a Jedi. So yeah, I just want to say something after saying that, Ben. I want to say you have no idea how hard it was for me to say that, especially with that last word being used.
Jedi?
Yes.
Is that because it's a recognized religion in England?
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's pathetic. So yeah, and today is so happy this day to all you people. Okay.
Well,
so
it's coming out the day after, pretty much. So this is going to be.
I hope Cinco de Mayo.
I hope you all enjoyed your Star Wars day. This is your Star Wars hangover today, and you've watched all 9 movies or 11 movies, 12 movies. How many movies there are?
There's
you got there and you watched every single one of them. You wore a diaper while you did it because you didn't want to get up and move, and you know that should be not applauded. Use the bathroom.
And all the stories and all the shows too. Don't forget, there's all the shows that they.
Oh, and that's what it is. That's what Disney does. Disney takes something and they just make so much of it that you're like, what the? And this is a company that used to be big on less is more.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they had the Disney Vault was all about. We don't want to give you these movies all the time. We want to release them once in a while because then it makes them more special. And it's like, okay, why don't you do that now?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like a million Marvel movies and a dozen Star Wars movies, and it's a total mess. It really is. Everything they touch, they multiply it, and it's not in a good way.
Exactly. So we got to get started here because there's going to be big events going, and we're going to have like a little break mid show, but
you won't notice.
Yeah, you won't notice a bit. It's gonna be a time warp and boom. We're just gonna keep going. But I do want to let you know that because things will probably change during the show.
A bunch more people will be here, like in the middle of the show. Just if we forget to point that out while we're doing it, that's why it's good. It's we're waiting for we're doing this in 2 parts, even though each part's only an hour apart. So it's not like each part might actually run into each other. Depends on how long this part takes.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen. We're just winging it at this point, but the only thing we know is the BM show. It's awesome. We're glad you're here. You're glad you're here. Your neighbors are glad you're here. Let's get started.
Yes, please. Let's do this.
Okay. So we got a lot to cover tonight. So you probably already saw this coming because we normally do this. We're going to kick it off with these ladies right here. Yes, we are going to start like we always do with the Bloomin' News, because I tell you, I can't go. Each week I'm like, okay, I reported something last week. We're going to have a break, but nope. There's always something going on with them. And it's always crazy awesome. So I've always got something to tell you, it seems like. Let's get started. So first thing you're going to want to remember is we are now coming up on BINI-verse, the world tour part of it. They've already done the Philippines. Here's a list of where they're going to be next. Make sure you are there. I will be there. I am looking forward to it, massively looking forward to it. I hope that you're able to attend as well too, and I hope that you have a really good time when you're there. So if you see your city or a city around where you live, and you haven't bought tickets yet, you better hurry because they're probably going pretty fast.
They're going to be in New York, Boston, LA, San Francisco, Seattle. Oh, yeah.
And Dubai. Dubai is actually on the 18th, which is not too far off. So if you're in Dubai and you want to catch them, you better get on that right now.
Yes.
So you can put us on pause, go get your tickets, come right back. We're totally okay with that.
We're an audio program. You can actually just leave us on and just go do it, or whatever.
But yet I'm casting this right now so everyone can see it. So we're mostly in audio.
Mostly audio.
So next in the news,
That's so weird. They're going into Canada from the UK, and then they're going from Canada to the United States, and then they're going back to Canada.
it's the location in Canada. They're making like a little smiley face across the US and up to Canada.
Really? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Or maybe somewhat of a smiley face.
Hmm.
So they say the world's opening up, and make someone happy today. So, and that's exactly what they're doing. So also in the news, they actually put out their behind the scenes part 2 of Blink Twice, which I have good news for you, Ben. You said that you don't know the members' names. Well, if you watch a little of the video pretty soon, I'm sure that you'll have them all memorized. But if you want to find more information on or see more of what happens behind the scenes when they're filming it, here's your opportunity. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I honestly, I didn't enjoy as much as the first one because it doesn't have the parts where they're recording, but I still did enjoy it. I still recommend checking it out. You get to see them being their goofy, fun self while also being serious and shooting the music video.
This is just proving that like they could pretty much put anything out and people will watch it.
I watched it and I have
This is all it's all like
I watched and started it.
It's all leftover stuff from when they were doing the first part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that came out here is, I believe this is coming soon. They got the trailers now, is going to be the Sheena story, which is actually her story of how everything started. I did check, and it's based off of the real events of her life. I'm really curious in checking this out. And I hope that I can find this with, English subtitles, because I would love to see this story. This kind of thing interests me, how it all started and so forth. So that's
With like today's technology, AI, they can literally like there's no reason that anything should not be translated into whatever language you're that you know.
true.
That's be that universal translation is getting closer and closer and closer where it's just going to be a thing.
True. And also, just to let you know, she plays herself in it, which you should, which is awesome. Also coming out is Love Doctor Part 2 is back. This time they get to rate pickup lines. Which, Ben, if you're looking for some pickup lines, here's your opportunity. I always say pickup line, just, be yourself and talk to the person. But, maybe you'll get some good pickup lines watching this.
And from the looks of it, it's the same recording session as episode 1.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, they put out videos of their miniverse for the younger fans. This is really awesome. They put on a show for the fans with games and fun and everything. I tell you what, if they did like a geriatric verse, I would be there so fast, because it looks like the kids had a total blast. And this is going to be one of those things where they're going to remember this. They're going to grow up and they're never going to forget this. And this is like an awesome experience for the kids. So it's good to see them having a good time there. And they also introduced at the Miniverse their mascots. And we're just going to do a quick run through each one of the mascots just so you can see them. There's 8 of them in all. So we got the first one here. Got another one here. I'm not going to go through the names. You can check them out in the link. We're putting all the links in there so you can check them out and take a longer look at them, see which one you like the best. So we're just rolling through them as quick as possible. But I do have to call out one of them, which would be our very last one. This one right here. I have to say, Malloy was probably going crazy when they brought over her famous red glasses to the mascot. I personally think that was an awesome touch. So that's all the big BINI news that I have. Actually, no, one more thing. We mentioned this last week. BINI learning how to do lightsaber battles. If you haven't seen it, put the hour and 20 minutes aside, I believe it is. Take the time, give it a watch.
What's the Wallow?
What's that?
Is it Wallow or Waylo?
I think it's Wallow. I believe that's 8, but I'm sure that somebody who speaks Tagalog can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. But all of these links will be down below, so you can click to your heart's content and see everything that we talked about.
Yeah, and Mike did a very good job of giving me a complete list of stuff that's going to be down in the description.
So that's it for the news. However, we do have something that we need to do. Ben agreed to something without really agreeing, but he agreed to this. In this video, they do lightsaber battles, 2-on-2. Ben agreed that we are going to watch the lightsaber battles, and before they start, Ben is going to guess which one of them is going to win in their lightsaber battle. And he agreed that if he gets any wrong, for each one he gets wrong, he's going to have to do a Ben Does It, so you don't have to for Ubol movies.
For what movies?
For Ubol movies.
What is an U-Bowl movie?
He is the director that makes classic movies like Blood Rain and House of the Dead.
Oh, he's that guy. Is it like that from the German studio that made all those bad video game movies?
Absolutely. So everyone that you get wrong is a Ben Does It, so you don't have to.
That we're not doing this game. This game got canceled due to the rain.
All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the first fight, which I have a feeling we're going to get an ad because that's how YouTube works, which we did. We don't care for this. Well, I'm not going to say anything. That would probably be mean if I said something. We'll go ahead and skip it. So,
logged in, you would get a more personalized advertisement.
Yeah, which I'm definitely not. Sorry for that. So, pretty soon they should be coming out for the first fight. So, Ben, start using your brain and start thinking when you see them coming out, who you think in each group is going to be a winner. And we shouldn't be too far off. I believe it's going to start right about here. So everyone's clearing out, and we see the first two combatants. I know, Ben, you don't know their names, so we're going to call them, it's the battle of the short hairs. We have a girl on the left and girl on the right. Do it the small top versus the untucked shirt. Who do you think is going to win this battle?
The girl with the short top.
All right. So here we go. Here comes the very first battle. Let's check it out. Now, this is something that if you're listening to the audio, you may need to fast forward because there may not be as much talking through this. But if you have the opportunity to watch video, you may want to jump in and watch along to see if Ben is correct.
Okay, so they gotta go and turn back to back, and then they're gonna.
It's the whole.
We take 10 steps and all that.
Exactly, and the battle has begun. There they go. Boom.
She's like trying to use her force with her hand or something.
Let's see. And we've got a winner. Now I want to point something out right there. Okay, if Gwen would have really done that with a lightsaber, she would have cut through her own self to kill Sheena. So that might not be the best move. If you're trying to be a Jedi, that might not be the best move to do. However, congratulations, Ben. You will be watching Alone in the Dark and reviewing it for all of us on the next Ben Does It, so you don't have to.
No, I'm not, because I already have a plan for that for tonight. And
so on the following Now you don't want to pick up your lightsaber with your hand like that also. So Gwen not only cut through her own self, she also just cut through her hand. I'm just saying safety precautions if you are dealing with lightsabers.
You know what? Seeing that shirt she's wearing, I probably shouldn't have picked her. It's just she looked good. I was like, okay, all right. 'Cause I thought the shirt might actually get in the way of her fighting ability. So we have a white shirt and black shirt.
Who do you choose?
Or classes and not classes.
Let's go white shirt and black shirt.
Okay.
So there's white shirt, there's black shirt. Who do you choose?
Black shirt.
Black shirt it is. Let's see if Ben is right. Let's see if black shirt has the moves that overtake white shirt right at the beginning of this battle.
So what's their name? You know their names.
It's Mika and Aya.
Mika and Aya. And Aya is the one I picked.
No, you picked Mika.
Mika.
You picked the one that you said that had red hair before. And here we go.
I gotta start.
Get this underway.
There we go. Oh wait, they do flips in the way. Well, one of them's almost a gymnast. All right, let's go. It's round one. Speak each other. We're not doing sound here, folks, because it helps with getting away with this.
Now, I got to point out, when you are fighting, you always have to have a smile like that. That will make the Star Wars experience much better.
Yeah, you have to enjoy. You're having fun. You know, this is supposed to be a battle to the death. The whole galaxy is in the balance, and
It really is.
and look at them, like they're just school kids.
You know, this is the warm-up fight. Reach for the sky. That's another thing you got to do with a lightsaber. It's very important to point to the sky so that your opponent knows which way the ground is, so they don't get confused and try to stand on their head.
Yes, that's a known problem.
Exactly. And ends the tie.
Oh,
Ben once again is incorrect, which means now Ben gets to watch Blood Rain. I didn't tell Ben the tie was an option.
Couldn't pick a tie.
But it is. So now here comes another white shirt versus black shirt.
White shirt.
White shirt it is. And the battle has begun. Those are serious looks right there.
Something so ridiculous. They're taking this very seriously. She actually used the force to push you down.
Yes, and she used the force kick. And they gave up, and it's once again a tie. Congratulations, Ben. You get to watch House of the Dead. Now, if you get the fourth one wrong, there's a bonus movie. So this one now we have red hair versus dark hair. Who do you choose, Ben?
Red hair.
Red hair it is. Ben has chose red hair, locked in his answer, and let's see who is the winner. As Battle 4 is now underway.
There they go, and they start in. That's a weird looking lightsaber, that yellow one. I don't think they had yellow.
Job done.
I don't think they had yellow lightsabers in the movie, but maybe they did in one of the movies or one of those TV shows I haven't seen. Maybe that's what they use on Andor.
And it looks like it's ending in a tie. Oh no! Down, and Ben is once wrong again, which means Ben gets to watch the bonus movie, Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I'm not watching any of these films.
So there you go. There's everything for the Bloomin' News this time.
That was.
And so I hope you enjoyed the fights.
I didn't, but okay. Such a waste. I'm like,
it really, you know,
I'm sure so many of our audience enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that.
I definitely did. So there's one other thing that I want to talk about here. We're going to make this one super quick, which we're going to jump to another group. It's time for the Bandmaid's Tale. And you're probably wondering, dude, that is a very old picture. And that's what I actually want to talk about. Um, if you're just getting into this group, or if you just got into them recently, and you're very much a physical collector, or you want to buy every one of their CDs, I want to tell you about something that you probably don't want to do unless you're an extreme collector. So Bandmate have a couple of CDs that aren't really accessible now. One of which I was lucky that I got. I had a friend there back in 2015 that called like literally every record store to get their first release and only found one copy in like every single store that she called. So I pretty much got one of the last copies, if not the last copy in Osaka that was available. The other one, I went to all of like the used record stores as well as new record stores in Osaka that I could find, and would actually ask them basically, do you have this CD? I couldn't even get the question out and they were already shaking their head. So if you're looking for made in Japan, obviously because they're out of print, something like eBay is going to be probably your best bet. Everywhere else is going to say out of stock. So instead of going here and looking at basically 90 to $100 for it, I have a better solution. Now, the other one that I actually haven't even gotten my hands on and probably never will once you see it, this one right here, their second release, Matador Love and Passions. You can pay $1,100 for it, or $1,850 for it. That comes with 3 songs. So what I recommend, instead of doing this, go to something like Amazon or eBay, and you can get the reprint of Made in Japan, or $23.17. This will come with everything that's on Made in Japan, including 2 of the 3 songs that are on Matador. Now you're going to ask me, well, shouldn't I just pay the $1,800 so they have all 3 of the songs? Well, if you're collecting all the CDs, you're also going to want to get your hands on this one here, which is New Beginnings, which will set you back $27. That contains that 3rd song that is not on the Made in Japan re-release. So just those 2 together, just spending, about $50 will get you everything that's on those CDs where you're paying $100 to $1,800 to get. So unless you're a extreme collector, don't go that route. Don't make that mistake. So I just wanted to point that out to anyone who's looking for those physical CDs. Or, of course, you could just go on Spotify and just stream them there. So that's all I really want to talk about with Bandmate.
Cool.
So, but we are on the subject of saving money, aren't we?
Sure. Yeah, let's save some money.
So let's start talking about that. And let's talk about Epic Games.
Epic Game.
Let's Epic Games with Adam Sandler.
MK.
So let's talk about what's free on Epic Games really quick here. Now, I do want to point out something. If you're seeing this quickly, you have to be super quick about this. Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is available, but it's only available until 8 a.m., I believe, Pacific time on May 5th. If you're seeing this afterwards, sorry, it won't be available anymore. They just brought this out today, so it's limited time. But what you can pick up for sure, first off, is Super Space Club, indie shooter space game. It's completely free. Save yourself $15. Pick it up and start blasting some people. Also, what's coming up on Epic Games this Thursday? First thing, I'm not sure if this is going to be a free. It looks like it might be a free mobile game, and you're just getting like upgrades for it, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So I'm just going to throw it in there anyway, just in case. And that's Dead Time Defenders, which is listed as action adventure indie shooter. So if you're into this has got to be a mobile game. If you're into that style, then pick it up. It looks like it's going to be free probably anyway, but who knows. Also, what's free is Touch Type Tail, which will be free this Thursday. Save yourself $20 and pick yourself up a strategy game, which looks like you're kind of like building your own kingdom. So that's it for Epic Games. On to Prime Gaming.
Prime gaming.
It's Prime Gaming. So first free on Prime Gaming is they went all in on Star Wars. They're going to give you Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga. So I know like Lego games are super big and Lego Star Wars got super big. So if you haven't picked this up, here's your opportunity. Head on over to Prime Game, add it in. If you need more Star Wars,
So available through June. Oh, never mind, June 4th. Okay, so you have a month.
you have a month to go. Also available, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds Saga, which looks like it's some sort of a strategy game.
Yep.
If you're into that one and you're into Star Wars, go for it. It's free. That's it for all the Star Wars stuff on Prime Gaming. They're also offering Styx Master of Shadows, which looks like they're listing as an adventure role-playing game. If you need a role-playing fix, go to town. And finally, I don't know if we've gone over this one. I feel like we did, but for some reason I kind of shuffled in the new stuff. So if we've already covered it and you're like, you guys already talked about this, sorry. I guess we're going to do it again, which is The Invisible Hand, which is a strategy simulator. Go to work, drink your coffee, and punch away, it looks like. So if
If you ever want a job that you ever wanted to just be a stockbroker, it looks like you could just.
Exactly. And if you want to be invisible also, you can pick this up.
Yeah.
So that's it for the free stuff. For the not so free stuff, I believe we covered this last time, but there was a message that came out that there's additional titles in it, which is now, I believe, was ID and Friends originally. Now it's Doom and Wolfenstein Mayhem. I think they added in just one more title, and that would actually probably two more titles. I believe is Wolfenstein Cyberpilot and Youngblood, as well as a $10 off IGN store coupon. I don't think those were in it before. So if you haven't gone, and I think maybe they added Doom VFR too. If you haven't gone for Doom, then I don't go for it now. It's $28. You get all 15 of these here. That's a pretty awesome deal. Also from Humble Bundle, they have the XCOM Complete, which is $10 for 17 XCOM tiles, which a lot of them look like they're DLC, but you know what? There's no problem with that. I don't mind adding DLC to stuff that's, free DLC to stuff. That's cool with me. Just bonus to the original game. Only $10 for all 17 of them. Also in Humble Bundle is the Tycoon Titans bundle, which if you like to do things that you can do in real life, but you want to do them on a screen so you don't have to do them in real life, then just pay $13. You get these 10 titles so you can run a coffee shop and then go farming and then roll through some trains through the scenery.
Go down a little bit.
To where?
Roller Coaster Tycoon's there. That right there people will buy it just for that.
There you go. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, the complete edition, is in there. $13 for that with a whole bunch of presents to go with it. For Fanatical, they have the Prestige Collection, which actually has some pretty good stuff in here. I'm familiar with some of these titles. And this is 2 games for $15. So not too bad of a deal. Plop in a few hours to those 2 games and you definitely got your money's worth. You got a pretty big list to select from here. And the more you buy, the more you're going to save overall. Also, they have their Bethesda bundle. If you need to pick up things like Fallout or Elder Scrolls, this one's 2 for $7. And you can get Oblivion, you can get Morrowind, you can get Fallout 4, you can get Rage 2. If you don't want to get the full Wolfenstein bundle that's on Humble Bundle, you just want a couple titles, you can get those here. There is quite a bit in here. And then finally, they have build your own, or I'm sorry, Platinum Collection, which is three games for $9.99, which is another list of indie games, which also has some good games in it. I highly recommend picking up things like Faith and Ziggurat 2. Those two games are just absolutely exceptional and worth $9.99 just on their own. But you can pick them both up and another game for $9.99. So there you go. There's some ways to save some money. I hope you found something to your liking.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of great titles that people have picked from among those things. It's I mean, just the Wolfenstein and Doom thing right there, and then I was talking about the Roller Coaster Tycoon. I mean, $13 just for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I mean, that's probably $3 more than what it would go for on its own.
Exactly.
So
So with that, I believe, Ben, you did something a little crazy.
I did. I'm actually looking for a video right now where I can have it play in the background. This is probably the actually. Let's see here. I had something before and I didn't save it. No, I wish I did. Let's see here. Playlist. Looking for playlist. Okay, that's the one I want.
So it sucks, or it's something that you don't want to do. Well, guess what? Ben does it, so you don't have to.
Skype is requesting to bypass the system private window picker and directly access your screen and audio. Yes, I'm up. And we're going to start sharing this. Do you see what I'm sharing?
Do you see what? Yeah, I do.
Do you see what I see? So these are these vertical dramas. They're huge, huge in Asia. And it's basically these 1 minute episode TV series type things. They're super like over the top dramas. And I went ahead and found a way to watch one of them in its entirety, all 71 parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one I watched is How to Tame a Silver Fox. So, How to Tame a Silver Fox. Let me go and pull up my notes because I actually do have notes on this. It's crazy. It is crazy. I was actually looking up like to see if there was like a queen of these type of movies yet, and apparently there is not one in the U.S. yet. So this girl here, she could end up becoming the queen of the vertical dramas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready? Here we go. How to Tame a Silver Fox is a 2025 romantic comedy drama produced by Real Short, featuring a blend of age gap romance and enemies to lovers dynamic. The film follows Harper Reeves, a Yale senior, which they never mentioned at any point in the damn story that she goes to Yale. Anyways, a Yale senior and daughter of a billionaire tycoon who devises a plan to seduce her father's overprotective friend, Chris Collins, aiming to get him fired. However, as Chris repeatedly comes to her rescue during her tumultuous, oh my God, during her horrible senior year, Harper's feelings begin to shift, leading to unexpected romantic developments. The movie stars Jesse Morales as Chris Collins and Tess Amelia Dinerstein as Harper Reeves and Jane Dong as Maria. So, anyways, this thing, it's interesting enough, but they want money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trashy romance novel, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's all like this girl is attracted to him, and he's kind of attracted to her, and she decides that she, like the description says, she's trying to get him fired, so she's going to try to seduce him, and during the process, like this is right here, they just met, he just rescued her, like this is the very beginning, and she goes, "Oh, your arm's wet," and he was like, "Well, wipe it off."
Oh, I thought maybe he was asking for like heroin. Like, shoot me up here.
And right here, he's saying there's no rain, and she's like, "Oh, sorry," and she's like, it's these little moments, and they're all 1 minute long. And then imagine if you're addicted to this and you're paying for it. It's like it can become very expensive very fast. That's what he said. Unless
Episode?
they could, or you could do an all you can eat.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I would recommend the all you can eat if you're going to do this at all. And yeah, it's not very good, but it's also not horrible at the same time. Also, all the stuff that they tease to, they don't really deliver on some of it. I mean, at some point I was expecting to see her topless. I guess they don't do that at Real Short. It would do they hinted that that's where we were going. So I'm like, okay, at some point this girl we're gonna she's gonna pop them out and they're gonna do a sex scene. No, they kind of just like it's one of those things where the sex scene starts and she's wearing this sexy like sexy outfit, and then she's still wearing it after the sex is done. And I'm like, that doesn't happen. It's like, oh, let me put my clothes back on and we'll snuggle. No, that doesn't happen. That does not happen. And that's when I look at these movies and I'm like, okay, it's like you're almost, yeah, it's a trashy romance novel. Let's just call it what it is. It's a trashy romance novel, and I'm never gonna watch another one of these. I was just curious because I kept seeing ads for this on TikTok. In fact, they're giving me ads now for the Real Short company. I'm getting ads from their competitors now, and I'm like, their competitors look even worse. Out of all of them, the Real Short one seemed to be the most polished and most produced, and that's saying a lot. Because look at this. I mean, it's so over the top. It's so over the top. They even have to point it out where he goes and says, "Once you're done checking me out, why don't you go on in there?" And it's like, yeah, duh. It's so obvious. Here, right here. I think your store closes in 2 minutes. It's like, I wasn't checking you out. It was a yawn. It's like, honey, fucking Ray Charles can see that you're checking this guy.
Well, I could tell you why. You mentioned that these are big in like Asian countries.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason why is because they are just like glued to their phones. And this aspect ratio here, whatnot, is gonna fit perfectly with cell phones.
Yeah, and also like each episode's a minute long, so this is like, okay, I'm waiting for the train. I could watch one or two of these episodes while I'm waiting.
It feels like this episode's been going on for like 10 minutes.
Oh, because this one here, you can because people are stealing these things left and right. Like it's so, you could have an easier time finding a bootleg of this, and you can find most Hollywood films. They're just everywhere, which shows either the company isn't that good at cutting these things out or whatever. So what they started doing is, if the episode is old enough, they'll just put together a compilation of a bunch of them and just put it up. So this is episodes 1 through 10 of 71.
Gotcha.
And it's only, how long is this video? 14 minutes. So you're watching 10 episodes that take up 14 minutes. So that's roughly what? A minute?
A minute. 15 seconds, maybe?
Minute and 15
Less than that.
piece?
I don't know.
Yeah. So these are really like, if you get into them, they're going to be like things like you're waiting for the doctor. You're waiting. These are stuff to watch while you're waiting.
You're on a train, like going to work, like
Exactly.
you know.
These are things to watch while you're doing something that you have the mental ability to watch and enjoy. Question mark. While you're doing something, while something else is being done for you. You know, like maybe you're waiting for your car to get washed or whatever. Yeah. So I would say this would probably be more towards single women in their maybe later 20s. I mean, I will admit this girl is hot.
That's probably why they don't pop out, Ben. You're the wrong demographic for it.
Yeah, it's not for me. Just like we were watching last week, and we were wondering what that movie was for. What was the movie we were watching? We couldn't figure out who it was for. Oh, Saved by the Bell. Just like we couldn't figure out who the new Saved by the Bell is for. I can't figure out. I mean, I can figure out who this is for. I know exactly who this is for, and I'm not that.
Well, this might become the future of these dramas because I mean, people's attention span is getting shorter. So a minute episodes are going to work great. And just the way, since the cell phone is vertical, you'll probably start seeing like action ones of these soon.
Oh yeah, there's already that. But
Okay.
most of these are just overly done romance things where most of them are romance novels, but they're starting to do some action ones. But the action ones also are like throwaway action novels, like
Mhm.
'cause not all books are good.
Yeah. Just wait till
It's just like that. Not all of these videos are good.
Korea starts doing them. The K dramas in a minute.
Yeah, no, I think they're doing it too. I know China is what started it all, and there's Chinese ones, there's Filipino ones, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So she's trying to make friends with these two vapid idiots, and these vapid people, they're only there because they know that it's gonna be free liquor, and her dad is rich, so she'll have good liquor there. And Harper here, she's trying to make friends because she just transferred to, I guess, apparently Yale, even though this is supposed to cover a year of her in college. The the way the time passes in these episodes, it feels like a week.
Gotcha.
But they're claiming a whole year goes by. And I'm like, okay, if she's going to Yale, I can drive to Yale in 90 minutes from where I live.
Mhm.
Where's the snow? The middle of the
Maybe,
season, there should
maybe
be
she's
snow.
maybe she's doing summer school.
Yale doesn't have like any, as far as I know, I don't think they have any campuses that are like outside of New Haven. So it's like, if you're in New Haven, you're going to experience winter. There is no winter in this. And also, everything that's done outside, it looks like they're in California.
Gotcha.
So, why they had to put Yale, they should have put Stanford because that's more believable. But other than that, yeah, it's like, and these two are the traditional vindictive bitches who go over the top, and they, like the littlest thing you do against them, they consider it to be like the worst thing you could possibly ever do.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, this is about where she's gonna go and try to screw over Harper here. Um, yeah.
So what's your overall take on this? Would you recommend watching these or no? I think I know already which way you're going to go, but let's hear it.
It's not for us. There is an audience for these, and we are not the audience. So I don't know if that's a thumbs down. If that's a thumbs down, then yeah, I'm gonna get a thumbs down. I will say that I didn't hate it. I watched all 71 parts of it. I was kind of like was waiting for the grand reveal, and the grand reveal is
Why don't you say it's a thumb still left in limbo? Because once it gets to something that might be our liking, like some sort of like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm just talking about this particular one. Yeah, I would say thumbs down to that. But in this format, the actress herself too. I mean, if this test girl, if she ends up becoming the queen of the vertical drama, it's good for her, But it's a whole thing of yeah. If they started doing stories that were more towards us, like if they did an action one,
Mhm.
and not just like a scene of action, like, and also like no, like the love interest should not be the A story, it should be the B story, because that's what we're looking for here. The love story is all it is. It's just the love story.
Yeah.
They'll
So,
see. Yeah, they're locking him out, and they're gonna embarrass her. What's that?
so here's another question. Like how often do these come out? Do they release, do these, whoever releases them, do they release like all the episodes at once? Or is it they do like a 1 minute episode every day gets released?
I think they do them all at once, and what they do is they give you the first 10 episodes for free, and then if you want to watch beyond that, you have to either pay per episode, subscribe to the all you can eat package, or if you watch like ads or something like that, they'll give you a task.
Yeah.
And if you complete that, it's like a video game. If you complete this task, I will let you see part 11. And so, and the tasks are usually so much of a pain in the ass, you rather just pay them and fucking get it over with.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much it costs. I think it's relatively expensive. I think I did the math and it came up to like $200 a year,
Jeez.
which is way too much for this shit.
Mm.
If they charge maybe $50 for the year, I would say, you know what? if you're out on the road and you're looking for something to watch, maybe it would be worth something, but not at 200. But it's like it's number one, it's unproven. They're just starting here in the US. Like this is one of the first one of these.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there's been like it's not like the first. They've probably been like a couple dozen, but it's still like there hasn't been 100 of these out yet. So this is still relatively fresh, and hopefully they get better writers and get better production and stop running these like horrible melodramas because right now that's all it is. Like, oh look, he's taking his shirt off again. You know, it's like it's oh she's and here she is, she's getting alcohol poured on her, you know, and like part of me was wishing they would just set her on fire.
Well, I think that
I like her character.
I think that even $50 for something like this would be too much. I think $20 would be better because what you're competing with when you look over the actual length of it is going to be movies, and you can go get a movie ticket for like $18 and see just the same amount of time as you're seeing in this.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I don't even know what's showing right now. Confirm, stop sharing. But yeah, and you know what? That's a perfect time for it to end because I ain't got much else to say about it.
Here we go.
So, and I gave you an assignment.
So you did. Oh my gosh.
Is that why you're paying me back this week by telling me to watch every bad video game movie to ever be released?
I think so.
Because I'm like, why are you doing this? Number one, none of that is binding. If I do any of that, it's all my own choice. Uh, because I never knew we were gambling on it. Gambling's legal now. Isn't that crazy? Gambling's legal. Almost completely 100% legal now.
Well, we're almost at the halfway mark here, so we got to get cracking.
Okay, what time is it?
We've got
Oh shoot.
yeah,
Okay.
and we got someone waiting already on deck.
Okay. Well, here we go. You're gonna go into the thing you had to do. I'm gonna start sharing my screen because I got still pictures. WWE, please, 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 please ignore us.
Go ahead and announce what you had me do.
I had Mike watch the legendary Hell in a Cell match from King of the Ring 1998 featuring Mick Foley, known as Mankind, versus The Undertaker. It is one of the most recognized matches in the history of professional wrestling, and there's two major bumps that Mick Foley takes in this match. One of them was planned, one of them was not. Also, The Undertaker did the entire match with a broken foot. So, is there more you want me to say on it, or is that enough for you to jump in and get
I can jump in at this point. So I do want to say you mentioned in the preview for this that I was not a wrestling fan, which is correct.
Now, when I say that, did you watch it? Like, did you watch it maybe when Hulk Hogan was around, or
That's
that?
what I was to say. Okay, so this is where I want to start with. I watched wrestling as a kid, so I know like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, British Bulldogs, and Jake the Snake Roberts. And I want to point something out with when I mentioned Jake the Snake Roberts because he's a perfect example of this. Back then, back in the 80s, I was watching it on like Saturday mornings, I think. Extreme in wrestling was Jake the Snake pulling his snake out of the bag and putting on the person that he beat.
Yes.
And that was like, oh my gosh, this is out of control. I stopped watching wrestling because, other things were going on in my life. I was playing like soccer and doing swim team and stuff like that on Saturdays. But I knew what had wrestling evolved to. And I know how extreme it's gotten. And hold on, I'm sorry, I have to do this on the air. I have to notate send a note to our other viewer about to hold on.
I am trying to change the picture here, and they won't let me do it.
Okay. So I had known that they moved to things like hitting people with chairs and throwing them on spears and stuff like that. And I had also seen the videos of people doing like backyard wrestling. And I looked at this, I'm like, this has just gotten so just crazy out of control. So I kind of had an idea what I was going to experience going into this. Now, recently, and I'm gonna tangent for a little, but it's associated with it. I like playing first person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes down to it, I would rather play something like an old school Doom versus Call of Duty. The reason being, or as I used to say, the reason being was because I like that fantasy style with the guns that are just not like normal guns, don't act like normal guns, are kind of just bizarre how they work because it is a fantasy aspect. Barrett kind of opened my eyes about something recently, which when I told him that I prefer that Doom style over Call of Duty, he asked me, is it because you're shooting people in Call of Duty? And I thought, no, that can't be it. Well, recently I played the Half-Life series again. I realized that's kind of it. I kind of can't handle the shooters where I'm shooting people and their arms are flailing around and so forth. So, with that being said, and the way that this ties to it, I when I was watching this, when he started crawling up on the cage at the beginning, I felt like this can't end good, and it didn't. The part where he gets thrown off, I'm not
Hold on.
like the viewer.
Let me find this. I know there's a picture. There's got to be a picture of that. That's the most iconic part of the match. Oh, they do. They have a picture while mid-flight.
I I'm not the standard viewer, and what happened was when he hit the ground. This is where it felt like just watching this. The best way to describe it, it felt evil. Because what I witnessed is everyone in the crowd just going crazy, like crazy excited. And to me, I'll be honest, to me, I actually was like tearing up for the guy. It just like hurt me to like watch this guy go down.
Mm.
And I didn't, I'm like, I want this to end right now.
You had the same reaction that his wife and kids had. They actually, there's this show that's called Dark Side of the Ring. In the opening episode for this season of Dark Side of the Ring, and I think they're like in season 3. I might be wrong on that, but the opening episode was about this match, and they interviewed his wife Colette and also his children who are grown now, and asked them like what they thought, and the kids were not even allowed to see this until they were older.
Yeah.
But Colette watched it, and she was like reacting pretty much like you are, where she didn't know about the table spot.
Yeah.
And that tells you right now, one of them was planned and one of them wasn't. The table spot that you're talking about was completely planned.
Mhm.
It was actually Mick's idea. It was Mankind.
Mhm.
Mick wanted to do something that would be that would get attention. He didn't know that his entire career would literally be changed because of this.
Mhm.
This put him on the map with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon didn't give two shits about Mick Foley. He thought he was a nice guy, but he's like, he's never going to be anything. And when he saw this match, they got backstage, and the first thing Vince McMahon did is he said, "Thank you for what you did to my, but did for my company tonight. Now, never
And,
ever do it again."
yeah, and okay, so let me go on because I know we're limited on time here, but and there's things that I want to touch up on. Um, then there's a point where they go through the cage, which I know you're saying that part well probably wasn't planned.
No, it was
Uh,
not. That cage was not supposed to fall apart like
and I had a feel, and the thing is, I'm looking at these like this guy could die from this stuff. He lands wrong, his neck is broken. What hurt me the most is not just the pain that he went through, because it looked like his arm was broken at one point. After going and hitting the table, it's the fact that the crowd was just so excited about all this. It's just mind boggling. It's a point where you're looking at like basically gladiators of today,
that. Mm-hmm.
and this I can't handle anymore. Um, I actually stopped watching this at the point where he gets up and the Undertaker is pulling his arm that looks like it's broken. I don't know if it's broken because he's using it later, and I don't know if he's just going through the pain to use it, or if he's just faking it was broken. Undertaker's like grabbing that specific arm and dragging him around. I'm like, I'm done watching this. I can't handle this anymore because of how bad I felt for this guy and how worried I was. I mean, I guess over my years I've gotten like I guess I've grown too much compassion. I don't know. But
Oh, dude, you never got to the thumbtacks then.
Hold on, no, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
Because then you put out your video where you now announce that I'm going to be watching this. And now I can't go into this saying, oh, I only watched about 2/3 of it. So after you put out that video, I had to go back and finish it.
Oh.
And I'll be honest, the second half of it isn't as hard to watch to me as the first half. It's still hard to watch. But I mean, I think the part where I stopped might have been where he was just like bleeding out of his mouth. I think that was after the arm thing. I don't remember. But I realized I don't watch boxing. I don't watch UFC. And the reason why is I don't want to see people getting hurt like that. And at this point, after watching this, I'm never going to watch wrestling again. Ever. And I don't know why these people do what they do. I think it's just a level of just, to me, it's stupidity for the almighty dollar to put your body through this, because when you get older, you're not going to be able to handle it well. You're going to fall apart. And all because of all this stuff that you put your body through. So is it really worth it?
Yeah, and now he has a lot of issues walking and stuff. Like he's not like immobile, but he's been through a lot. And now this was also, if there's a movie, I think that this is part of the movie where he I forget the name of the movie now. I actually have it. Shoot. My brain ain't working on this today. Okay. Well, anyways, he forgot to call home. And he has a thing with his wife where anytime he does anything dangerous like this, he calls home immediately afterwards. And here you can see them, they're taking care of him medically, but at no point did he call home. And it actually led to that match led to him having like some, it led to a fight with his wife, I'm assuming. She's pretty from the interview that I saw, she's pretty understanding about most of it, but they kind of have an understanding where he says, like, I know that, I'm only going to go this far. And that night she was mad because she got mad at him because she was watching it and she saw that spot where he goes through the cage. And she's like, I knew about the table, but I didn't know about him going through the cage. And so he literally had an argument with his wife that he had to go through. Yeah. So on top of everything else, that everything he put his body through, he got yelled at.
Yeah. So we do have, I do want to point out, we do have movies that we're going to watch next month, that one is wrestling related. If it's a movie, I can watch it because I know that obviously it's fake. Wrestling, is fake. It's all staged. But I know with the movie it's fake, and there's, no one is going through the injuries that they get through wrestling. So I'm okay with watching movies about wrestling, but I literally will not watch any more wrestling for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be okay with that.
Are you ready to hear everything that Mankind had at the end of this match?
You mean like his injuries?
Yeah.
Go through quick because we got to get started on the next part.
Okay, you were right about his arm. He had a dislocated shoulder. He suffered a concussion. He had a knocked out tooth. He had cuts and bruised ribs. And he kept going. The concussion happened when he fell through the cage. He literally was knocked out for about 60 seconds or something along those lines. He was knocked out for a good chunk of time. Which, when I say a good chunk of time, like when that's a good 60 seconds is a good chunk of time to be knocked out. He was knocked out. So, and when all those guys came into the ring, they revived him back to being awake. So he was out of it, and they were telling him to quit, and he just wanted to keep going. This match continued on because Mick Foley refused to stop the match. He's the one that took all the damage. He's the one that, and he said, let's keep going. And that's why I said, like, he went backstage and Vince McMahon was like, never again. Never again.
Yeah. So overall, I would obviously give this a thumbs down. And I'm fine with the stuff that I'm into. Makes me happy. This did not make me, I didn't see any enjoyment in this at all.
I literally bought the UK version of The King of the Ring 1998 on DVD just so I could have this match without the WWF logos being blurred.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Which there was a whole time when they had to blur all the logos. It It was a dark time in wrestling tapes. Luckily, that time has passed.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to take a break. So we're going to be right back with you in just seconds. You won't even notice we're gone.
Yeah, I don't know why you're announcing it. Okay. Are we recording?
We are recording. We're back, everybody. This time, the BM show has now gone to BM squared. So a little surprise for you guys.
Yeah.
So this is the big moment here. This is everything that we've been waiting for.
Yes, this is what this holiday, May the 4th, is all about.
So we've got a very big same, different for you.
You sure?
We're talking about Star Wars, then followed by Hidden Fortress, and then The Man Who Saved the World, which is also known as Turkish Star Wars.
Yeah.
And might jump in that, and I'll add this, 50% of us love Star Wars, 50% of us probably don't, but let's find out what happens. So let's get this started. Ben, you want to talk about Star Wars?
Yeah, I sure do. I'm just getting a little liquid in my throat here. I think I got allergies. I hope I'm not fighting a cold. All right. Star Wars is a 1977 American epic space opera film written and directed by George Lucas. It is the first installment in the original Star Wars trilogy and the beginning of a wider Star Wars franchise. The film blends science fiction, fantasy, and adventure and is known for its groundbreaking special effects, archetypal storytelling, and cultural impact. Set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the story follows farm boy Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, who discovers a message hidden in an android named R2D2 that draws him to a galactic struggle between the Rebel Alliance and the tyrannical Galactic Empire. Luke joins forces with wise Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by Alec Guinness, smuggler Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, Rebel leader Princess Leia Organa, played by Carrie Fisher, and the towering Wookiee Chewbacca, played by Peter Mayhew. Together, they attempt to destroy the Empire's planet-killing weapon, the Death Star, and battle the sinister Sith enforcer Darth Vader, voiced by James Earl Jones. The film was a massive critical and commercial success, launching one of the most influential franchises in cinema history.
Okay, so I'm going to start out and say I'm definitely not a Star Wars fan, and I'm probably going to be one of the biggest non-Star Wars fan that any of you have met in your life. So going over this, I kind of knew where I'd probably go with this, because the problem with it is the franchise. To me, the whole franchise has gone on way too long. It's really fed off of nostalgia. If you go to the majority of Star Wars fans and they're like, "Oh, I love Star Wars. Star Wars is great. Everything's Star Wars," and you just go through the movies, you're like, "Okay, well, what do you think about the first one?" And what you're going to see is a lot of people seem to really latch on to those first three movies, which are 4, 5, and 6. Well, maybe I should say the first 2, 4, and 5, and still like live in that era, to where everything else has kind of gotten unforgivable. Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I said that wrong. Everything else has become forgivable. So if I was to go off the whole franchise, the whole series, everything together, this would not be a pretty review. So I decided I'm going to take this from a different angle. Now, I have not seen the original Star Wars for probably almost 20 years. I actually, last time I sat down and watched it was for Maria to see it, because I don't think she had seen it at that time, just to see what she thought. And she wasn't a fan of it, which was kind of relieving, which means that I didn't have to go through the other ones. I have tried to watch every single one. Usually they last about 20 minutes. The ninth one, I think it is, the most recent movie that hit theaters, thankfully, I was on an unlimited plan because I walked out halfway through it. But
Which was weird because you were watching it on an airplane.
I watched Solo on an airplane and I had nothing better to do. But there's something about Star Wars that I like, and there's something about Star Wars that I despise. What I despise is everything Jedi and Force related. I mean, I would just rather actually go and watch like a true samurai movie because it feels like that's what they really want to replicate, but they want to put in this magical, and I'm sorry to say this, Harry Potter-esque feel to it with the Force and everything. It ruins everything. But what I love about Star Wars is right in the name, Star Wars. I love the battles in space. I love the spaceship battles, absolutely do. And it's reflected in the ones that I actually watch, which I would watch Return of the Jedi, even though that it's very much uh also has a lot of Jedi aspects to it. That space battle at the end is just mind blowing, especially for its time. I would watch Rogue One, but that's about as far as I would go. So going back to Star Wars, I had a feeling that it's not going to go very well for me. But watching it again and treating it as its own movie rather than thinking of the franchise as a whole was a much better experience because it felt like it ended with that battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, as far as the Jedi stuff goes. And then you've got that space battle at the end with the trench run, and that's what really makes this an exceptional movie. So I didn't mind it enough by itself, but when you factor in the next movie, which everyone loves and I can't stand, that's where the whole series gets ruined for me. Now, there's a couple things that I noticed watching it that are kind of funny. Um, First thing is there's a point where Obi-Wan gives Luke Skywalker the lightsaber and says, I have something for you. And you're giving him like one of the most dangerous weapons in the universe. And you're just like, here you go. This is a present. Enjoy your time. You've had no training on this. Play with it and enjoy it and have a good time.
And he looks down the barrel of it.
Yeah, I have something for you, son. This here is your dad's old hunting rifle.
Exactly.
I've seen like some meme that said, "Oh, your father would want you to have this. He slayed about 20 younglings with it."
Yeah. So another thing that I caught is when they were talking about the Jawas getting slaughtered, and Obi-Wan said only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise. Are they really? I mean, they can't shoot anything else.
They can they can kill Luke's family, but they can't kill Luke.
Exactly. And then the other part is the famous stormtrooper tripping. Ben, I know you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It reminds me of that wrestling scene with
Oh, well, the Shockmaster goes through the wall.
yes, because he was wearing a stormtrooper helmet as well too. So, but
Now I gotta find that one and put this video together. Damn it!
sorry. So, but there's two other things I have to mention, and this first one's actually really interesting, and I don't know if any of you actually looked into this, but I found this to be amazing the way they did it, was when you get to the very end, and they're doing the trench run. Now, sidebar really quick and tangent for all you Star Wars nerds, maybe someone can explain this. Why did they bother bringing Y-Wings into the trench run when I understand Y-Wings are equivalent to bombers, but you can mount the photon torpedoes onto X-Wings, and X-Wings, Y-Wing is like a pickup truck versus an X-Wing, which is like a sports car. You're going to want to have that faster vehicle. You're only going to get one shot. Why bother with the Y-Wings?
Because they had that's what they had. The rebels don't have a lot to choose from.
No, it's because they want to sell the toys afterwards.
Well, that's true too. You mean why did the writers put it in there? The writers put it in there to sell toys, but
Exactly. But I mean, in the real aspect of it, you're not going to want to take those Y-Wings down the trench because they don't have the speed and maneuverability that the X-Wings do. And yes, I just actually Star Wars nerded, and I'm not even a Star Wars fan. So I'd love to hear a Star Wars fan explain that one. But if you've never done this, I recommend doing this. Watch the trench run scene, and it talks about the Death Star being in range, or I'm sorry, the Death Star had the planet in range in 7 minutes. Time it, because it is on time until they get to the 1 minute range. And then it gets off by about 30 seconds or 45 seconds by the end of it. But every time they say that, such and such is within range in 5 minutes, it had actually literally gone in real time from 2 minutes, from the 7-minute mark to the 5-minute mark. So I don't know if any of you have ever caught that before.
I have.
Yeah.
But
So
I do remember hearing something in one of like a review I've heard one time where they did mention something about the time.
Mhm.
So maybe I did hear it before and I don't remember it because I used to be so far in the start. Well, I'm gonna let you finish your review. Good, go ahead.
Okay. All right. The other thing I want to mention is I don't know who lied here. Is that at the beginning of it when C3PO and R2D2 jettison out? I'm sure everyone knows what said. There goes another. Hold your fire. There's no life forms or something like that. I want to know who lied because when the general meets up with Darth Vader, he tells Darth Vader a single escape pod was jettisoned. Okay, so either he lied to Darth Vader because there had to be more than one, because they wouldn't have said there goes another. They would have said there goes.
Oh, that's true. I never caught that.
Or yeah, or the guy lied to the general because he didn't want to get fired. Now, with saying that, I will say this whole series could have been easily avoided by one simple line. And that would be, there goes another. Fire at it. Blow it out of the sky just in case.
Blow it up.
And you would have never had Star Wars from episode 4 on.
You know what? There's a lot of movies where they have that kind of scene where like if you just shot him right now, this whole movie would never have happened.
Exactly. So I'm actually going to jump in and I'm going to say something right now, which we normally do at the end, but I do want to say this. Would I recommend Star Wars? By itself, I would. But as a series, I wouldn't. Except for the ones that, like Rogue One and Return of the Jedi, if you want some awesome space battles.
Mm.
Which is surprising for me to say.
Yeah, no, the space battles are pretty good.
And that's all I've got. So now passing the mic over to Ben.
Star Wars. I was a kid. My late uncle, he used to live at my house. He would live upstairs and we lived downstairs. And he rented the movies. And he was like a kid. He wanted to share it with somebody, so he shared it with me. We watched all 3 parts on videotape, the original versions, and I was just hooked from then on. I've watched Star Wars so many times. I don't even know how many times I've watched this movie. At one point, I used to watch it in Spanish just because it was something different. um, and I watched the special edition, which is something I usually don't watch because I actually have the despecialized edition and I prefer those. But I watched the special edition because for this review, and it had some the extra scenes in it where that slug shows up. And yeah, it's the special editions are not anything worthwhile in my opinion. Unfortunately, it's kind of the version that a lot of people know of. It's so for some people, it's the one they've never seen before, or the only one they've ever seen. They've never seen the original version before. Um, I like the action. I like the whole thing, the whole thing with the Force. I like all that stuff. I think it added like its own religion to the whole series. I don't like anything really outside of the original trilogy. I mean, like the Phantom Menace. I always say this about the Phantom Menace. If the Phantom Menace was not a Star Wars movie, it probably would stand alone as a cult classic sci-fi film. But because it's connected to Star Wars, it has all these expectations thrown on it that it did not reach. These movies are the Star Wars, especially, is like the bar that all sci-fi movies from then on have to match. And I think what movie were we reviewing where I was getting on them about their special effects and comparing it to Star Wars? Was it Clash of the Titans?
It could have been. I don't remember now.
There was a movie that came out after this movie, and I was saying after Star Wars, there is no excuse for your special effects to not be at this level.
Probably was because you were mentioning a lot of how you could tell that the stuff was really fake in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, I think that was Clash of the Titans, which I felt bad, 'cause Clash of the Titans is a good movie, and I would watch it again. I would try to find a version without nudity in it if I had children who were gonna watch it. Um, Star Wars, on the other hand, is already kid-friendly. It's actually part of the problem with if they're about to start picking on a movie, it's a little too kid-friendly. But they knew what they were doing, they were trying to sell toys. Um, and it's just the original trilogy is this great collection of movies, and that's what Star Wars was for most of my childhood, because the episode 1 came out, I was 17 years old when episode 1 came out. So for the first 17 years of my life, Star Wars was these 3 really good movies, and now it's a dozen okay films, and, that's the problem. So I agree with you, Mike, as a franchise, I don't recommend it. I recommend the original trilogy. Despecialize if you could find it, which it's not too hard to find. But yeah, that's like the way to go with the original 3 Star Wars movies that came out in the 1970s, 1980s. In that form if you can. And, that's pretty much really what I gotta say about it. You think I'd have more, but Mike kinda covered a lot of what I would have said, which is, the how awesome the special effects are in the space battles.
All right, and the mic gets passed to Barrett.
Hey, so my thoughts are, I mean, I guess kind of in line with what y'all are saying. The only ones that I will acknowledge is 4, 5, and 6. I refuse to acknowledge even the existence of anything else. Uh, and yeah, so as for this first one, because I assume we're mostly just talking about episode 4. Yeah, I like it all right. I was very interested by what Mike said about like the Force and all that and the lightsabers and things. I'd never heard anyone else say that before, but I long thought that it was I was about to say hokey, but I don't really think that's the right thing. I think it could work in a different movie. But I think when you have this movie and then they sort of ignore it in the first movie or 2, and then later they kind of retcon it, and they have, especially with the prequels, like Phantom Menace, they're like, oh well, they could just like see just a few seconds into the future, so they can like they know where the blast is gonna come, and they just deflect all the blasts with their lightsabers, and it's fine. But it's like really bringing a knife to a gunfight kind of thing. And I think that they should have picked one or the other. Like either have it be like a techno feudalism where they like it's a choice and then everyone kind of agrees to use medieval sort of fighting because it's sort of a contest of strength, or it's like no actual warfare and we're going to use, the most advanced weapons we have. And yeah, I wish it would have just picked one. Uh and then yeah, as far as the magic part of it, I'm like, I mean, it was interesting, and I agree with Ben that it was something that was unique to it, like no one else had that, so it's kind of a hallmark of it. But I also feel like it clashes a little bit, just like the lightsaber part. Like I don't know that it's the best marriage of like, spiritual stuff and technology.
Hmm.
I kind of wish that they'd just once again picked one or the other. But I'm not as upset about that part of it. I mean, that part I'm like, all right, fine. Especially in these original ones, because I feel like the original ones did a good job of just leaving it just vague enough that it's not that troublesome. But I feel like the later ones really kind of shot themselves in the foot, or stabbed themselves in the foot with a lightsaber by like trying to overanalyze it, and then it became like obvious just how silly it was. It became like Dragon Ball Z kind of where you have like power levels. They're like, oh, and this kid, his power levels are off the charts. Oh.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, and then, like, the whole thing where they even, like, stuff that was said in the original trilogy ended up not being true, like, they said that Yoda trained him, which he didn't, it's like, all this stuff didn't happen, and it's
Do you want me to correct you as a Star Wars nerd?
go ahead, nerd.
All right. Yoda trained pretty much everybody when they were a kid.
But he didn't train Anakin because Anakin was already.
Oh no. They said that Yoda trained Obi-Wan.
Oh, I thought he trained Anakin too.
Nope, they didn't say anything about that.
That's right. He went and said, "I thought I can do as well as Yoda," which is not even true. He did this out of a sense of obligation to his teacher. It was his teacher's last request. He was fulfilling a last request. He was not, "Oh, geez, hey, Qui-Gon, let's go take this kid with us. He seems awesome." And the thing was, in the original version of Episode 1, in the original script, there was no Qui-Gon. They got Liam Neeson, and they thought that he was a bigger name than, what's the guy who played Obi-Wan?
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he thought they thought he was a bigger name than Ewan McGregor, so they decided they were gonna go and make a part for him doing in it. And they ended up just taking Obi-Wan's part and kinda splitting it to 2 different characters. And that's why I mean, I'm sure I'm missing parts before then. Actually, you know what? Nerds, go ahead. Go in the comments section. We need comments. It helps with engagement. Go ahead. Give me your worst. I don't really care. But yeah, that's what I've heard is that it was supposed to be everything that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did was supposed to be just Obi-Wan doing it, and they made another character to get Liam Neeson in the movie.
Yeah, I can picture that. But he was like, what? Like Train Spotting, I think is the major thing that Ewan McGregor was in at that point, and that was probably kind of niche compared to something like Star Wars.
And then they probably figured it's only for the first half of the first, or well, most of the actually it's most of the first movie. Well, it's only the first movie though, and it's helped establish the Obi-Wan character on his own. But the thing is, Alec Guinness already did that.
Yeah.
And Rowan McGregor was good because he kind of looked like a young Alec Guinness. In fact, now anytime that they make anything, they use his likeness. They don't use Alec Guinness's likeness.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Super Geek, you
Yeah.
are Barrett, are you done with yours or you got more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then I want to jump in. I want to mention something about what Barrett said was he was talking about how it should be like one or the other. That's something we've been bringing up a lot on the show recently is you're catering to everyone, then you're catching no one. Now, Star Wars obviously did become phenomenally successful, but it's interesting that he brings that up, and that's something that we've been discussing in a lot of things recently.
Somebody just raced by your house.
Yeah, they really did.
That was actually the sound of a T-16 starfighter.
Yeah. We almost ran out of video to run, so I actually had to go and bring it back some. So Matt, what are your thoughts being the super geek on Star Wars here?
Okay, so if there's any movie that I've seen the most in my life, it's probably this one. Probably by a lot, actually. I had the soundtrack to like probably at least a couple of the first ones, and my family was so into it that a neighbor once came to my house like decades later when my mom had passed and I was fixing up the house, and a neighbor came over who had lived there decades ago and moved away a long time ago, and she just was curious to see, oh hey, I was curious to see if one of you guys were still here, and she remembered, I was only 3 when this movie came out. It's actually maybe my very first memory is this movie.
Oh, okay.
I was, yeah. I actually remember when I was 3. A couple possible other things might be earlier, but I actually remember coming out of the Cinedome or the domes, looked like butts or boobs or whatever in Sacramento, and it was raining. I was looking up at my parents, and they actually split up a few months after this movie came out. I remember I was holding their hands, looking at them from a tiny perspective. That's just crazy to think about. So, this movie, the neighbor that came by said, I remember you guys went to Star Wars all the time. And I think she went with us once because we went all the time. My family went to see Star Wars and it, came back in the theater over and over again. I remember that as well. And it was so big in my family. My brother was just so into it. He had like huge collection of stuff. And I found a recording of my brother, and he was doing the sounds and all the voices from the commercial. He was probably 7, and he was doing it well. I mean, he memorized it and all the QQ. He's doing all these sounds, like right when it said Millennium Falcon, but he said Millennium Falcon. So it was adorable. But okay, so this was huge in my family. And it was just like this thing that got my imagination going like crazy. I mean, I imagined, you know, like after the first 3, I was imagining, oh yeah, we're gonna get more with Luke Skywalker. We're gonna get to see, him like, and all the cool stuff he's gonna do. And so I was looking forward to that like crazy. And like listen to the actual tape. I had multiple tapes because I ruined them, and I'd get another one. I love the music. Music was everybody has to admit that the music's pretty dope. That's reportedly one or two only things that exceeded George Lucas's expectations. When he heard the music, he's like, "Oh." And what interesting fact, you're talking about selling toys. This movie was a low budget thing, and to get it to be able to pay for these actors, he had to give them percentages of like royalties and stuff, because they didn't expect it would sell. They did not expect it would make enough money to go and sell toys. And I'm sure George Lucas was sort of like, hey, maybe it'll make some money and we'll make some toys. But they were pretty much not expecting that. I don't think that they started making toys right away when it came out right away. Maybe if some people got a big word of mouth, because it was a big deal, of course. But it was massive. Like it was a phenomenon. Like people talked about, yeah, I don't like Star Wars, which yeah, they had to specify. I don't like Star Wars because it was a thing. Okay, and talking about the lightsabers being feudalistic and taking a knife to a gunfight, I can see how you'd be saying that, but the way I see it, the lightsaber is sort of like a shield, and it reflects their own shots back at them, and their religion is not to attack someone, only to defend and do what you have to do to defend. And so they're taking their shots and returning them back to them without, killing people that are after them, which I think is cool. Okay. And speaking of that whole, the force stuff, um, I don't know if my last crazy, insane, I mean, literally insane rant, was good for you and viewership or whatever, because I was talking about absolutely bonkers stuff. But along that lines,
We're talking about weren't you talking about like aliens and shit?
yeah, UFOs and stuff like that. And so a thing that is actually strangely related is psychic stuff. And these religion is based off of old religions. Um, Hinduism, the very first religion of known civilization, written civilization on it is Hinduism, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff in there. Um, let's see, a lot of Asian religions, have this kind of a, psychic kind of component to it, and and I actually have, through my weird rabbit hole of UFO stuff, has very quickly gone into psychic stuff too, and I'm under the impression that it's real, and it's interesting. You're talking about people knowing the future, knowing where things are without seeing them, and now I don't know if people can actually move things with their mind, but there's some people that say that's possible. Yeah. And I think there's other stuff with the force that is based off of like a lot of actual people in this world actually believe. So it's interesting.
Matt, I want to tell you something. I've always thought that I would be able to do stuff with my mind, like they do on Star Wars. So every once in a while, I'll try with all my might to get my remote to move. And this one time, I was doing it, and nothing happened. It's bullshit. I do try to do it. It's mostly just me saying I don't want to reach over and grab it, so I try to use the force.
You know, if you reach out your hand,
Yeah, but close your eyes.
reach out your hand, Ben, and then just use your foot to kick it to your hand, that's the same outcome.
Yes, maybe I'll have to do it that way. It would be nice if it worked, but there's literally a reward. A reward. If you can go into this one lab and you can prove that you could do psychic stuff, they will give you money. And no one's and from what I understand, the test is relatively easy. If you have the ability, you should be able to pass this. And no one's ever collected on it.
Well, I was recently hearing about a it was I'm trying to remember, it was in, I think, Switzerland, a convention that had telekinesis examples, and like live in front of an audience, and like we're just skeptics. Is for mainly scientists and people who were investing money in the reverse engineering of UFO technology, and they actually, and I can send you links and everything. They have people that swear by, they use psychics to lure or invite in UFOs, and this group was talking about how they were showing examples of it, in front of like big money donors. And yeah, I know it sounds totally like a grift. It sounds so much like, and in the history of the world, I'm sure it's like been a classic grift. Yeah, but this is a thing. I don't know. But
So basically, what you're saying is history repeats itself, and a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away isn't too far now.
Do you guys think that the Star Wars future is something that we would end up being at, or do you think it would be more like Star Trek, where it's more ordered and it's more technological?
well, first of all, this is a fairy tale. It's not like a futuristic thing. You could say, because it's based on a civilization that have been around for many, many thousands of years. It's just,
Yeah.
and it's kind of devolved into feudalism, essentially, and but if you look at some people's ideas of the future, like Frank Herbert's Dune series, it's a whole lot more like this than Star Trek. Far, far, crazy, many tens of thousands of years in the future, maybe hundreds of thousands of years in the future. And yeah, I could see that that's a kind of a classic thing that might occur. If you think maybe human civilization might be around for hundreds of thousands, millions, or whatever years, some version of humanity. And if it is, hopefully, and then there will be times when just about anything you can actually think of will exist that humans could possibly do, and way more. There will be, I guarantee you, if the human race can get through like the nuclear age, there will be princesses and dark knights and shit in space. Sorry, are we supposed to not swear right now? I don't know.
You can swear.
Okay, and this is a huge fairy tale. It's all about good and evil. And now some of the new Star Wars stuff, I know we're not reviewing that, but some of the newer stuff, like the Andor show, which is a prequel of Rogue One, the thing just came out. It is the best Star Wars. I didn't think I'd ever say anything would be better than some of these certain movies, but it is the best. It is nothing like this. There, you don't see like any Jedi stuff. So, Mike, you might want to check out the Andor show. It's Rogue One and better even. It's a spy thriller. It's Star Wars for grown-ups.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Okay.
Mike,
And-
my recommendation for you, if you watch the Star Wars movie and you enjoy the space battles more than anything else, there is a show called Battlestar Galactica.
Seen it.
And the original version of Battlestar Galactica really comes off as a bunch of people who went and said, "Hey, I really like those starfighters. Let's make a show about it."
Yeah, I used to watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah. And also the remake of Battlestar Galactica is like unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And I would recommend if anybody hasn't seen that, that was on the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s, and they have like this whole world, this whole thing that they build, where they even have their own religion. Where the main religion, they're mostly following Greek and like Roman gods and stuff, and one of the people ends up becoming pretty much he's not Jesus, but he becomes a prophet, and he basically talks about there being one God. So there's like this Christian overlay that's kind of on it. At the same time, people want to say, "Oh, it's anti-Christian," because like, no, they're doing a story. Okay, it's a fantasy, and in their world, Jesus never came. So they are doing as close to Christianity as they can. But yeah, I do think that Battlestar Galactica is just unbelievably good. Especially like I said, if you watch Star Wars and your favorite parts of Star Battles, go look for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
That will scratch that itch.
Damn good show. Yeah. The second one, the first one, I can't really watch anymore. I loved it when I was little, but here's the factor regarding that idea of the nostalgia. If I were to go and watch Star Wars right now, and it was a new movie that came out, let's say it looked a little bit more up to date, let's say, okay, and I'd be watching, I'd be like, hey, this is cool, you know, but yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this movie a lot, but I wouldn't have gone crazy over it because when I was a kid, that's a different thing. And of course, it I don't know, invented a whole lot of styles and made everybody want to go do certain things, but it was probably for its time, amazing. I heard one of the things about it was that it was one of the first things that had stuff in space, like essentially what people would call sci-fi, that would have grime and like bad neighborhoods of nasty, stuff. Everything's just all messed up, like Tatooine, and people were kind of like, "Oh wow, I can actually kind of feel like this is real." It's kind of interesting.
Well, for you, one of the big things it sounds like, Matt, is that it was also a family bonding experience.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm,
That's
mhm,
gonna be huge for you, and that's that I know that will keep you kind of like, stuck on the series.
mhm.
Yeah, 'cause
Yep.
it really is something that's generational. It's something that fathers and mothers can pass down to their children, which I'm sure, Matt, you are planning to, that's like, it's a whole thing where like, it's very family related to you. Um, my household, not really. My stepfather, like he watched it, he liked it, but it's not like he never went crazy over it. Where, my other, or his brother, my uncle, liked it so much that he wanted to share it with his nephew. It's like,
Yeah, something interesting. I think it's probably around Return of the Jedi. It could have actually been Empire Strikes Back, but my mom, who's very, very smart, observant person, said this this franchise is going to be around so long. It's going to be around basically forever. It's so popular. You're going to be able to take your kids to these movies. That's what she
yeah.
said. Yeah, and yeah, it's that popular. It's a thing that's might never completely die until humans die. I mean, it'll go away, of course, like everything, but it is. I mean, it'll evolve. It already has started to.
And pretty much, if it keeps going, then it's going to be like Lord of the Rings for the society that's actually watching it, where instead of being something that's futuristic, even though it's quote it says it happened in the past, instead of being futuristic, it's going to be more medieval because society is that much more advanced.
Hmm,
Mm, mm.
too deep for me.
So we got to kind of get moving here.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, sorry. Okay, we're good.
no, it's all good. So just so you all know, Matt is doing these reviews in his Luke Skywalker underoos, we believe. So
Where am I not?
so let's I gave
2D2, okay?
I gave my opinion. So you guys, would you say with Star Wars, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Up, of course.
I know Matt. I'm out all the way, right, Matt? You hate these movies?
Oh yeah.
I think we all are agreeing it's a thumbs up unless Barrett has a different opinion.
Nope, love it.
Okay, so yeah, everybody likes it. It's everybody likes the original Star Wars movie. It's you know, it's a spacing good time. I'm gonna
Next up, Ben, Hidden Fortress.
Ooh, The Hidden Fortress. The Hidden Fortress is a 1958 Japanese period adventure film directed by Akira Kurosawa. I probably murdered that name. Blending historical drama with action and moments of comedy. The film follows two bumbling peasants who are caught up in a secret mission to transport a disguised princess and her loyal general through enemy territory during a civil war in feudal Japan. Told from the perspective of Told from the perspective of the peasants, the film helped inspire George Lucas's approach to Star Wars, particularly through the use of ordinary characters as narrative entry points and the dynamic between its heroic leads and its widescreen cinematography and masterful storytelling continued to influence filmmakers around the world. So who's first?
Okay, so the mic goes to Barrett, who is going to not only do this in English, but for our overseas listener, is also going to do it in Japanese. No, I'm kidding. So Barrett, since especially I really wanted you to go first on this, since you know you grew up in Japan. So you got the mic.
Okay, yeah. So this movie, I mean, first of all, I think the comparisons to Star Wars are really unwarranted. Like, a lot of people at that time, like film nerd people in America, were nerding out on Kurosawa films. Like, they just started to get distribution in the US. And so some people got copies of it and they're watching it, and they'd hold screenings for each other and stuff. And, then other people in the know would come, and so it's just one of those things that, yeah, sure. I mean, if they watched it a bunch of times with their friends, they couldn't help but be influenced a little by it. But like, yeah, I don't think anyone would watch these back to back and think, oh yeah, well, this one is a ripoff from the other. It's like, no, no. Uh, and as far as the thing that Ben just read in that summary, even that little bit about like, oh, okay, well, taking it from the perspective of the two common people or whatever. I mean, I don't think you could really say that they learned that from this either, because that's been done. I mean, just think of a whole bunch of Shakespeare plays, right? Like, how many Shakespeare plays have like a servant as the narrator who kind of, is your point of view for the story? So, yeah, I mean, but so I just want to distance it from Star Wars, but as far as my opinion of just this movie, it's okay. I think that it's overrated. Um, I think that a lot of these, like at the time, just people weren't that good at making movies. And also probably didn't help that, Japanese movies typically have a really low budget, like at least by American standards. And this movie was no exception, right? I mean, they made this movie on a shoestring budget. And I feel like it shows. And, but that said, though, I feel like it did a decent job considering the limitations. But also there are a lot of flaws and stuff. So I don't go back and watch this a lot. I think, I watched it once upon a time, and then I watched it again for today's discussion. And I'll probably never watch it again after that.
All right, is that it, Barrett?
Yeah.
All right, so the mic now goes to Matt.
All right. So for some reason, I thought we were going to be doing Seven Samurai. So that's part of the reason why I put this up to the last minute. And turns out I'm able to review about a third of The Hidden Fortress because I didn't get to finish watching it. Um, I did see Seven Samurai a while back, many years ago. And I remember that one seeing some inspiration to Star Wars. This one, from what I've seen so far, other than, I don't know, the way they film, like with that the wipes, the atmosphere, the two goofy dudes and stuff, obviously the C3PO R2D2 characters, I can tell that was a little bit there, but I don't know, it's got a bit of the vibe. And I think the biggest inspiration for Star Wars movie wise was probably the old serials from like the 50s. I think they had like cowboy movies and Flash Gordon type stuff. Um, this might have been technically more of a technical kind of a way it's filmed, kind of a thing. And actually, regarding the budget, they did a really good job in their night scenes, being able to film on a studio and give a good night scene. They've got a good budget for that. So I was actually surprised by the quality that they did that. Sorry, I'm getting all technical with you, but that's I think where its inspiration is probably is more of a technical thing. But yeah, it's I like Seven Samurai, and this one is pretty cool. It actually captured my attention. I probably would have watched it if I didn't put this off the last minute and stuff came out. That's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I did not enjoy this movie. Um, I do see, and I agree with Matt what he was saying about C3PO R2D2. It is pretty clear to me that the two main peasant characters in this are C3PO and R2D2, and I don't think it really has that much of a tie to Star Wars, except for the fact that I can tell that George Lucas really pulled a lot out of it for the scenes where they land on Tatooine, where you have C3PO saying, go that way if you want to, or whatever he had said, or I don't want to go that way. And it's clear that the beginning of this movie is doing that exact same thing, where the ones where they're basically breaking apart and then they're coming back together again. But really, that's the only thing that I feel ties it in with Star Wars. Um, I don't want to. Other than that, I didn't enjoy this movie at all. It felt like it just dragged on just way too long. So it's not one to go back and watch again. Um, there's a lot better Japanese movies, and I'm glad you brought up the Seven Samurai, because yeah, that would be a much better thing to go watch if you're looking for like Japanese films. And if you're a Star Wars fan looking for something that does have that kind of feel, any type of Seven Samurai is a good one. I mean, anything kind of samurai is a good thing, because that's where I think the Jedi's really uh, originated from, is those old school Japanese samurai movies.
Hmm.
So this one is a definite pass on it. Now, one thing I want to mention is that we can tie these two characters as C3PO and R2D2, but I can also say at the same time that it kind of felt like watching Lucy and Ethel, um, or like a cross with basically crossing with like Three Stooges. It was just that dynamic of the two friend characters that are friends, but then they have disagreements and are kind of comedy relief. It's been going on forever. So, is it really something that influenced Star Wars? Probably, but it wasn't something that was original.
Hmm.
So that's it for me.
Okay. There are at least 3 examples of where Star Wars has lifted stuff from this movie. Number 1 are Matt already mentioned the whites. That's when they're switching from one thing to another, especially if time passes. They do this wiping effect that is used all over Star Wars. Number 2, the very first scene that Mike was talking about, where they're saying, "You go your way and I'll go my way," and then they end up getting back together, just like R2D2 and C3PO did in the desert. And then they're at the fire. This does not tie into the first Star Wars movie, but Return of the Jedi, when they get captured by the Ewoks, and the Ewoks have that whole ceremony where they're around the fire. It's very similar to the scene where they're having all the fire scene in this movie. And then there's another scene where the 3 of them are captured, and they are all tied up, and that they're at the bottom of these pillars, and it's very similar to episode 2 of Star Wars, where they capture them and they're right before the big battle at the end, where they're tied up in front of 3 pillars. The pillars, of course, then are outside and they're taller, but and we're in Hidden Fortress, they're in like a cave or whatever. But still, I saw that and it looked very, very similar to me of how that was presented. So, to me, that is probably the three things that were pulled out of this. That and also the fact of showing the story from the perspective of low characters instead of the hero being who the story is being narrated through the perspective of the hero is being narrated through his sidekicks. So that was my thoughts on that for comparing it to Star Wars. I enjoyed this movie. Um, I thought the princess can shut the fuck up a little bit. She was a loudmouth. But besides, I mean, they're trying to whisper, and she's still screaming at the top of her lungs everything she has to say. And it's like, does this woman have an indoor voice? I don't think she has an indoor voice. And a lot of it was predictable, but I thought for what the movie was, I thought it was a good movie. So I give it a thumbs up. And that's my review.
For me, thumbs down.
Barrett,
Thumbs down.
Matt,
The third that I saw, it's the thumbs up. Thumbs up.
okay. So it's 2-2. It's a split on that one. The next movie, I don't think we're gonna have a split on it all.
Go for it, Ben. Let's hear the story about it.
Oh God, I should try to read it in the Turkish. Let me switch it over so we showed a Turkish trailer. You guys have been able to see all these trailers, right?
Yes.
Okay, I never checked to see anything not working. Okay. Oh God, this is a horrible word. Dolyani Katarin Adam, translated as The Man Who Saved the World, is a 1982 Turkish science fantasy film directed by Kitik Anak. If I'm getting these wrong, folks, please in the comments tell me how I'm saying these wrong, because I know I'm murdering them. This has been nicknamed Turkish Star Wars and is heavy and nicknamed Turkish Star Wars for its heavy and unauthorized use of footage and music from Star Wars. The film is a cult classic of low-budget cinema. The plot centers around two space pilots who crash land on a desert planet ruled by an evil sorcerer seeking galactic domination. One of the pilots, Morit, undergoes strange training and eventually becomes a sword-wielding hero using unconventional methods and makeshift weapons to save the world. Despite its poor production values, plagiarized visuals, and chaotic editing, the film has earned a cult following for its absurd creativity, unintended humor, and status as one of the most notorious bootlegs in cinema history. Who's first?
I am first.
Please murder this.
Okay. So whenever you start a movie with a big chunk of text or story before anything starts, you're already starting off on the wrong foot, especially if it makes zero sense and it doesn't ever really make any sense in the movie. I'm not clear. So the title is A Man Who Saved the World, but if I understood this correct, the world's already destroyed and they're on some sort of a piece of the world. I don't know. So, but that's not the major. Well, that is a major problem, but that's not the only one. So it starts out with all the Star Wars stuff. I'm not even clear at this point if they were the X-Wings or they were the TIE fighters because of the way that it was handled. All I know is they're in some sort of ships. They exploded at one point. They landed on the planet. Now I'm dealing with Siegfried and Roy going around this world doing something. Not clear what exactly. They're just doing something and they're fighting. Now, this movie, I assume that the way this movie was written is probably 12 people got together and said, hey, we're going to make a movie. How should we do this? And one person got the idea, let's all go into separate rooms and write 10 minutes of script and then come back and figure out how we're going to work this all together and not change what we wrote, because this movie is all over the place. At one point they're fighting like zombies. Another point they're fighting monsters. Another point it's the magician, and it never they're not connected at all. I think the best scene in this movie that really sums up how you should feel about it is when not the main character, but his buddy is getting into a fight and gets captured, and he becomes some sort of zombie. The moment he's getting captured, go back and look at the main character, and he has no concern for what is happening to his friend at that moment. He's like, he got captured, happens all the time. I'm just gonna move on. It, but it's kind of clear what this is. It's just like religious propaganda for what looks, I believe, was Islamic propaganda. And it's just pieced together as a movie so that there's some sort of, I guess, enjoyment to it. However, it's such a mess. There's you're not gonna get nothing out of it. I don't have anything else I could say other than I would never watch this again in my life. And this is a classic example of not a movie that's so bad it's good. It's more, it's so bad, it just hurts to watch it. So with that, you got the mic, Ben.
Okay. I'm going to channel one of my favorite YouTubers. I would rather drink the piss of a rabies infected skunk that just pissed all over me. I'd rather drink his piss and eat his shit than to ever have to watch this fucking movie again. Then I got my angry nerd out of me. This movie is the fucking worst. It's got to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I barely know what the fuck was going on. They copied so much stuff from other movies, it was ridiculous. They took music from Indiana Jones on top of scenes from Star Wars, and then they got these people with their cheap costumes, and it was like, I've seen student films that look better and were better presented than this. I don't know what drugs they were on. I don't know what the hell they were doing. I don't know if they thought this was good or if they were trying to be bad. I don't know. If they were trying to be bad, they didn't even do good at making a bad movie that was so good. It's so bad, it's bad. This is go away heat. You don't want to see this movie. I watched it because I had to. I literally felt like I was watching this movie because I had to. I didn't cheer for any of the characters. I cheered for the credits. Like, this is just a horrible, 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 horrible movie. And this is something that you make a bet on of whether or not people are gonna watch this. Yeah. I don't know, like, I knew who the heroes were. Like right now, this guy's running around with rocks on it, like tied to his legs. And I mean, the training montage was probably one of the better parts of the movie, which isn't saying a lot. Is that a hard bar to get over? Yeah. That's what I have to say about this. Do not watch Turkish Star Wars. Just don't watch it. Just save yourself. We did it so you don't have to.
Good way to say it. All right, so I believe it's Barrett now.
Yeah. So I have seen a few of these kind of weirdo Turkish movies. Just because there's a YouTube channel that I watch that likes to make fun of them. And so then, if he makes fun of one, then sometimes I'll go and check it out. And so I'd heard of this one before. And then it was truly awful. And I'm kind of shocked that like it's so bad because a lot of the other ones were bad too, but they were at least like there was somewhat of a coherent plot. Right? Like sure they had like dog shit budget, right? And so like, it's just it looks terrible. But at least it's like A to B to C to D to E, like done. Whereas this one, it's like, no, there's no rhyme or reason whatsoever. It's just like, why? Like, yeah, it's so bad. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a really bad film. Oh. Matt?
Yeah. All right. So, I was actually kind of enjoying how terrible it is. I wouldn't tell anybody to watch it because I had trouble watching it. I only got maybe close to halfway through or a third of the way. I don't know. And I remembered I had to also watch the other movie, which I was actually looking forward to. So this was obviously not supposed to be good. Not like anybody was really. I mean, there might have been somebody in there that's like, okay, I want to do some cool stuff, but the main people involved in this were like, all right, this is going to be funny how dumb it looks, you know? Because, I mean, the budget, first of all, the sword was obviously like cardboard or I guess foam or something like that. It was just like, it was flat. It wasn't like a sword. It was just like a board, you know? And yeah, if they were trying, they would actually made it look like a sword instead of, I don't know, a junior high or elementary school kind of a costume prop, you know? Um, yeah, the chopping things, and all of a sudden the rocks, you know, are boom, they're in half, and the heads popping off. That's the sign that they didn't even that it was supposed to be funny how bad it was. Like these guys right here riding up on the horses, they're supposed to be skeletons. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that until they said that, and I'm like, oh, okay, those are supposed to be bones and not obvious. Um, like these guys, they're like
You know, a lot of these
pinatas.
villains, they look like they're like Power Rangers villains.
Yes, exactly. Like they knew it was dumb.
Well, the guy that has the nunchucks thing, I thought those were hot dogs at first.
So it would have been cool, actually.
Is this the worst movie ever made?
It's pretty
Cruel Intentions is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah, but Cruel Intentions has a cult following. This movie, is the cult following just to see how bad it is? No one's watching this thinking this is their favorite movie. Cruel Intentions, there's people they think it's their favorite movie.
And I think it's like The Ring, where it's, you know, the I dare you to watch it to see if you live 7 days after. But this is more like, okay, watch it, see if you live through it.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I don't know if you guys could stand watching it enough to notice that in the beginning you can't tell which ships are the good guys and bad guys. They're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. And I still don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
Even at the end of the movie, he doesn't know who the good guys and who the bad guys.
And then I love how they're talking about the sword being this great sword, and then what does he do? He like melts it down, and you see that in the trailer. He melts it down, then puts it on his fist. He's like, "Well, screw this thing. I don't need it. I'm just gonna."
I know, and
What?
yet gold colored work gloves, and that's supposed to be like the thing that's gonna destroy the bad guy. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like fix his plumbing?
I love that scene where he uses the guy's hand to kill him. That tells you right there they were having fun with how dumb it was. Another thing, just like you can't tell which ships are the good guys and bad guys. They go back and forth on what planet that is.
Mm. Yeah, you don't know where the movie's taking place. You don't know who the good guys and the bad guys really are. You're almost cheering for the bad guys because that'll end the movie.
I'm pretty sure what they said was that the Earth was destroyed, and this was a piece of asteroid of the Earth. So I'm guessing that this was Turkey that had split off of Earth when it exploded.
Oh, and this guy, he's getting tied down by phone cables.
Yeah.
And here he is. He's gonna melt down the cardboard thing and turn it into gauntlets. You know, it's like, come on. I'm actually learning more about the movie watching the trailer than I actually did when I was actually watching the film because I literally was suffering through the whole thing. I was just like, kind of just get this over with. Give me something that I could talk about. And it gave me a chance to do my best angry video game nerd. Actually, it's not my best. I probably could have done better if I practiced. But this movie sucks. Are we done with this?
Yeah.
So does anyone want to give this a thumbs up?
If you really, really love horrible movies and you like to laugh at dumb stuff, and maybe you can skip through it and so you don't have to watch all of it, then maybe it'd be. Otherwise, it's dumb.
I like bad movies that are so bad that it's good, and this does not qualify as that at all. This is not even so bad it's good. It's so bad it's bad.
Okay.
If this was a wrestling match, it would have go away heat. Where they're not booing because they're supposed to, they're booing because they honestly don't like this. This is a horrible movie. If you showed it on airplanes, people would be jumping out of the plane to not watch this film.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of everything tonight. So I do want to say thank you to Barrett and Matt for taking the time to come on and actually getting through these films as well too.
Yes, thank you for giving your insights on these films. It's this was fun. I've been actually looking forward to this. We've been building up to this. This is one of our bigger episodes, I think. This should do well, I think. I mean, I think Star Wars is like talking about football, and for sports fans, you can do it any time of year. You can always find somebody who wants to talk about football. You always find somebody who wants to talk about Star Wars.
So with that, I think we're at the end of the show. I do want to give the last word to Barrett.
Oh, I mean,